what light is to the eyes, what air is to the lungs, what love is to the heart, liberty is to the soul of man. Those are words of an 18th century American writer and orator, Robert Greene Ingersoll. So from Asia to Europe, to Africa and beyond, seeking and experiencing personal liberty is one of mankind's greatest incentives. This holds regardless of age, of race, of sex, or even religion. We all have our own understanding of what liberty means to us. Some even long for a feeling that comes with the word liberty. Others even barely think about it. So what exactly is liberty? Google, our homework buddy, will tell you that liberty is the freedom to live within a society, without too many restrictions from government or authority. Oxford Dictionary says that liberty is the freedom, to live within a society without oppressive restrictions imposed on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. Oxford Dictionary also goes ahead and says that liberty is, the absence of a colonizer, the absence of, being a prisoner or a slave. So regardless of wording, one central idea in definition of liberty is freedom. My first job upon completion of my undergrad was working as a reporter and writer for a local newspaper. At that time, a deadly conflict was raging in different parts of my country, and the air was filled with a veil of mistrust and chaos. So apparently for many infant democracies around the world, freedom of the press is only guaranteed to some extent. And at times, any attempt to deviate from a given central narrative is both challenging and may even be fatal. Apparently, politicians brand the bearers of information as enemies of states, to the extent that it gets into the heads of security apparatus that journalists were to be treated as such. One day I had just returned from a press conference, and being midday, I decided that maybe I will call my friends so that we grab some quick lunch together. I stood under a shade of a huge neem tree awaiting my friends. On the other side of the road was an unmarked two-story building with a tall concrete fence around it. It looked like a typical residential apartment. Hardly at 5 minutes passed when a tall, dark, frowning guy emerged from the building and questioned why I stood there. I told him that I was waiting for my friends and that he didn't have to be rude. Upon seeing a camera hanging around my neck and a notebook in my hands, he asked what I do, and I told him I was a journalist, an answer I will immediately regret. Visibly charged, the guy grabbed and lifted me like I was weightless and rushed me inside the building. Apparently for him, I must have been spying and up to no good. He asked for my ID, which I quickly handed over to him, and from the looks on his face, I knew a lot of things were about to go wrong. So you are the guys who've been writing bullshit about this country, he asked. Knowing that I hadn't written anything or done anything wrong, I thought I wasn't obligated to respond to him as he pleased, and that infuriated him even more. The guy went on kicking and slapping and intimidating me for some time. At one point, I decided to have a conversation with him. You are young, and we are possibly in the same age bracket. Do you really believe in your heart that I or other journalists write the things we write because we hate our country so much? He was like, don't try to lecture me and all that. But I kept persisting, trying to know exactly why he was doing what he was doing. It is one thing to be told by your superiors to mistreat those you don't disagree with, but it is another to do it as if it was on your own conviction. We went back and forth, until finally my friends, Yach and Mariak Michael, arrived. They negotiated with a higher ranking officer within the premises who couldn't see the reason why I was being detained and decided to order my release. I walked out of that compound that day having a clearer and a more personal understanding of what it means to be free. Even the dusty urban air felt fresher than usual. You see, a very sad narrative has it that while our world has made huge strides in wealth creation and technological advancement, personal liberal space continues to shrink by day. There are so many obstacles that lie on our path, and those prevent us from experiencing and living truly free and meaningful lives. This could be authoritarian governments, this could be societal or parental expectations, this could be schools, job demands, relationships, past experiences, among others. And while some have the power and the aptitude to endure, others, our strength is not always equal. And unfortunately, some end up left totally broken and unable to get back on their feet again. Mental health issues are on the rise as a result. A recent study by American Psychological Society found that up to 35% of all freshmen experience mental health problems caused by external pressure and expectations. It is so bad that at times some even end up losing their lives. In a word, shrinking personal liberty impedes our quest to finding our true north bearing. When under intense pressure from within or without, our motivation in life fades and a sense of emptiness begins to consume us. We are left trapped in a veil of indecision and superficiality. Personal liberty, when it shrinks, causes us to even lose, direction in life. Personal liberty, when it gets away from us, when we are able to experience that, we are left living in fear. We fail to perform at our optimal potential. So how exactly do you realize your true north bearing or get back to your feet once you've been knocked down? One way is to jealously safeguard, your personal freedom and causes that you believe in. The thing about, personal space is that it will never be handed to you on a silver platter. You must take it back from whoever, be it, your government, your boss, the parents, abusive spouse, among others. You must negotiate your way out. Do not let anybody, not even the desire to achieve and acquire wealth, take away the meaningfulness of life in you. Brandon Bachar, a writer and a motivational speaker, once said that there comes a time in the lives of those destined for greatness when we must stand before the mirror of meaning and ask, why? Having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we live like mice? Why? Thank you.